Hi and welcome to Rational Asset Manager 7533. With a recent release, we introduced several new features, one of which was the SAML SSO support. Before, what users had to do was to re-log in and provide their username and password every time a session ended. Now with 7533, the users have the ability to enable SAML SSO. And this enablement is beyond the scope of this video, but I just wanted to point out that there's documentation that will show you how to set this up in the RAM setup as well as in the application server, which in our case will be WebSphere. So once you've enabled this, what this is going to allow you to now do is the user just logs in one time. And after that user logs out, he or she may access any other applications from the same browser on the same server without having to re-enter the username and password. So before we dive into showing you how RAM and the new SSO works, I want to take a few moments just to provide you with some steps, or rather the process by which SAML and RAM work in hand. So typical user will issue a URL to access RAM. When they get to the RAM landing page, they will click on the login link. Now at that moment in time, what RAM does is it will contact an identity provider, also known as an IDP, and it does this by issuing a SAML request. By the way, SAML is an acronym for Security Assertion Markup Language. Now, after the IDP receives the SAML request, what will happen is the IDP will send a login page to the RAM user. And at this point, the RAM user enters his or her username and password, which IDP will then verify and check, and if everything is correct, it then sends a SAML response, also known as assertion, back to RAM. And in doing that, it also sends a session cookie to the user's browser. At the same time, RAM will receive the SAML response and verify that. Once it's valid, RAM will send a session cookie to the user browser also. With these session cookies in place now, which will exist over a stipulated amount of time, what this now allows is the user can exit RAM and go and connect to another application that uses the same IDP, and upon doing so they will not have to log in and it will automatically take them through. In the same way, if they launch another RAM session, they can do so without having to log in. So at this point, let's dive straight into these steps and how RAM encapsulates all this. So here I've already logged in, but I'm just going to quickly log out. And what you'll notice is that I've been actually signed out of my identity provider's login. So this is a typical scenario. A RAM user will provide a URL and arrives at this landing page. So as we talked previously in this slide, a user will go and click on the login. And at this moment in time, this is where the IDP's credential request is displayed to the RAM user. And because I've logged in several times, it's already remembered my username. I click that here and enter my password. And the IDP will now send that response to RAM. And RAM at this point is verifying that. And once it's verified, it sends a session cookie and we are now in. So that basically is what the SAML and RAM support allows you to do. Now if I were to log out of this and connect to another application, I would not have to enter my username and password. So let's take a look at that in action. In RAM, I'm still logged in. So if I close my RAM session here, open a new tab, and I'm going to connect to Microsoft Azure, which is the Active Directory that we're using with the SAML enabled. And what this will do is it will take me straight back into my Azure, and as you can see, there I am, logged in as the same username. And if I exit this and try to connect to my RAM again, you'll see that it's not going to require me to enter my username and password again. It'll take me straight back in. And there you go. Thank you very much for watching.